Hello everybody, Tuesday here at Northern Spy, Derick's Daily Dose. Today we're going to work on variable control. Most specifically, we're going to work on club face. Okay, so we're going to deal extensively with club face today. Before I get into that, I just wanted to take a second and thank my teachers. I've been blessed over the years to have some very influential coaches, Neil Gorman, Tim Bishop, Joe Benevento, and Bucky Buchanan, who I've worked with at varying levels at different stages in my career. I think teaching, I enjoy it. I enjoy the ability to be able to influence other people, make them better, help them understand. Largely, we're not dealing with eye-opening concepts here. Teaching is really a regurgitation of information that you've gotten or information that you've learned. The way you deliver it and your conviction levels into certain beliefs, differ from teacher to teacher. But I've been really lucky over the years to have had some great teachers and kind of pushed me along this path. Probably, 8-10 years ago, I got pushed. I had a student who asked me about a specific instructor. His name was Sam Goulden, Goulden, and he is a MacroGrady disciple. He so I watched some of his online videos and stuff, and he got me to start thinking. So it changed conceptually how I viewed the golf swing, how I thought about the golf swing. And then allowed me as a teacher to kind of create my own set of parameters, what I believe works best for individuals, and to kind of go from there. So if you're bored, definitely check him out. I think he's got great stuff. He talked a lot about, the square-to-square golf swing and really, controlling face. And like I said, it made me think, it made me kind of develop, what I thought a golf swing should look like and what was important. And I think being a good teacher is your ability to, to deliver what's necessary to the students. Some people don't want to change things, so you have to build around that. You have to be able to adapt. But, when we talk concepts, most everyone that I deal with, when I ask them right out of the chute, what do you want to work on? And, I would say 80-90% of the people that come to me, they say, I want to become more consistent. So the manner in which you become more consistent, it's variable control. And what is variable control? Well, there are three variables in the golf swing that I feel like don't make much positive impact and really make the golf swing more difficult. And that is vertical movement. So any movement vertical, you're changing spine angle, you're changing your overall height. That's a variable that you have to recreate on the way down, or you have to compensate for on the way down. That's it becomes very difficult. The other is lateral movement. So when you're shifting side to side, your CG changes. And again, I can do these here with my my little hoop. You'll notice if we're changing height, that hoop's also changing height. If we're changing spine angle, that the angle in the plane that which we're swinging on changes, and all those have to be recreated at the golf ball. If we're changing, our CG and we're sliding, you can see that, our bottoming out point, where we want to pad the golf club and where we want to hit the golf ball, right in our change in direction, right at the bottom of that motion, it starts to change and vary, and that's when it makes golf hard, because you start to have to compensate with your extremities, your arms and hands, and it can really create some inconsistencies in your golf shots. I just think it makes golf more difficult. I've seen people with unorthodox swings have success. I think every golfer, when you ask them, they hit good golf shots. They may not hit them as often as they like. They may not hit them as well as they like, but that's what keeps people coming back. Everybody hits good golf shots. But I think everybody wants to raise their floor. They're not as worried about the ceiling. They're more worried about the basement, raising that floor, getting rid of the poor golf shots, really becoming more consistent. And that speaks to variable control. And the third variable is face. So when I first started to learn, and really the old methodology in regards to teaching was that the toe of the golf club got up and then the toe of the golf club went up over there. So what we notice in that, from that toe up to toe up, is my forearms are rotating in both directions. And when that happens, that face moves, that face opens and it closes. And when we talked yesterday about path and face, we talked about the fact that the path of the golf club, as it's approaching the golf ball, it's going on a push path, it changes directions, and it starts to go on a pull path. If you also involve, a face that's opening and closing, it puts really a premium on your ability to hit the ball in your change in direction, to time it properly. And anytime you have difficulty in your golf swing and timing based moves in your golf swing, you need to practice a lot. I deal with a lot of people that don't have time to practice a lot, or don't really want to practice a lot. So if you want to become better, you have to start to control variables. So I started to toy around with really, kind of controlling face on the way back. And as someone that, my whole life hit a pretty significant draw, I always thought that I had to get that golf club more open so that it wouldn't draw as much, when in actuality, it was kind of leading to why I was hitting the draw, because that face had to close more through impact. My hands became more active, and I had more curvature on my golf ball. So when I started to go down this path where I was controlling face, and not necessarily we want to keep that face square to our body through the rotational aspect of it. And I noticed that all of a sudden I started to hit the golf ball with less curvature. I started to hit the ball straighter because the face was moving less. And that's really kind of why I started to teach the way I did, and why I think this is a huge aspect in the golf swing. So I see a lot of people, when they take that club away, they get that toe up. And again, a lot of teachers would tell you that is the right position. I believe that, that face is open and you're making the golf swing more difficult. So what position do we want to be in? We really want to be in a scenario where that face is, slightly pointed down and the toes down. The easiest way to do it, if you took a football and you held it with both hands and the laces were out and you started to take that football away, I think a lot of people will notice that the laces immediately turn up. And in this scenario, what we want to do is we want to keep the laces pointed out. If we can do that, what we'll notice is, for a right-handed golfer, my top hand, my left hand, gets underneath and my right hand gets on top. So in this scenario, when I'm here like this, that face looks shut. A lot of teachers would tell you that face is shut. I don't believe it's shut. I believe from there, we can simply turn and move and the club is square. So we haven't let it open. We're not gonna let it close. We're maintaining squareness of face. So when that happens, it's not as important when we hit the golf ball. We can hit it slightly early in the motion or slightly late in the motion. And because that face is gonna be slightly shut to a path on the way down and slightly open to a path on the way through, that ball is gonna migrate back to target. What does it look like at the top? So we get that club here and we take that club to the top, and what we notice is, that face is pointed up at the sky. So ask Michael Breed will tell you that's a shut face. I don't believe that to be the case. I believe that's a square face. So from the top here, again, if that face is pointed at the sky, what we'll notice is all I have to do is turn and move, and that face comes back to square. Less the face moves, the more simple the golf swing becomes. If we get that toe up and we get that club to the top, now what we notice is that face is pointing to the right of our target. And if we simply unwind from this position, boom, you'll notice that the face is open. Okay, so more accomplished golfers, golfers that involve their arms and hands and rotate their forearms properly on the way down, will square that face up through forearm rotation. Because they're rotating their forearms, they're able to keep their hands out in front, and they're able to finish and hit the ball where they want to. Pardon the phone. What I notice a lot of people doing, though, is they get the club in that position, and then on the way down, they cast and release to get that club face square. And now you can see how I'm not flat wristed at impact. I'm more cupped. Players that do that have to stop their body from turning. They're going to lose power. They release the golf club, you're going to hit a lot of shots fat. And really, even if you do hit the ball well, you're providing unideal club positions at impact. So I think if you put a little bit of attention into where your club face is, both on the way back and at the top of the golf swing, what you'll notice is if it's in the right positions, instinctively you can move through the golf ball. You have to do less to fix it on the way down. And really, you're going to hit the golf ball straighter. Okay, so pretty easy. Take that halfway back, shaft is parallel. We want to make sure the left hand, back of the left hand is pointed down, right hand's on top. Again, remember that football, we get it in that position. If we do that, what we'll notice is that butt end's still pointing to my belly button, face is down, we get it to the top, face is up, and then from there, we can rotate through impact. If you notice that, butt end isn't pointed in, toe is up at the top, the shaft is pointed here or here. We talked about that, I think in volume 2 in the first week. Then what happens is you're gonna fight to get that club back in the right position at impact. Okay, so variable control. We talked about it in volume 1 with our posture. If you can control your vertical movement, you can control your horizontal movement, and you can control club face. Really what you can do there is you can start to embrace the rotational aspect of the golf swing. Face moves less, it makes the golf swing more simple, and I think you can be a lot more successful. So make it easier on yourself. I use an analogy all the time. If I went to the grocery store and the list was milk and bread, I could do it every time. I get the right milk, I get the right bread. If the list is 20 things long and I'm running around the grocery store looking for stuff and I get 18 of the 20 right or 19 of the 20 right, but that one ingredient, we can't make dinner, then it's an unsuccessful trip. So the more you have in your golf swing that you need to do from the top to the bottom, the more pressure you're putting on yourself, the harder it's going to be to execute, okay? And the more inconsistent you're going to be. So if you can start to control those variables, you'll gain consistency and you'll play a better golf, all right? Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.